My name is Nombulelo. I was married before I learned the full shape of my own voice. In my village, the drums spoke before mouths did, and tradition spoke louder than doubt. They wrapped me in red cloth, painted my hands with clay, and sang songs of patience and obedience around my trembling body. They called it celebration. I called it destiny, because I did not yet know I was allowed another word. Across from me stood Kavuma, tall and quiet, praised for his firmness. The elders blessed us, and their words landed heavy in my chest. I told myself love would arrive later. I told myself fear was only excitement wearing a different face. The drums were loud enough to drown my questions, and so I stepped forward. Marriage did not begin with pain. It began with instructions. I learned where to stand, when to speak, and how to lower my eyes. Our house was small, but my silence grew large within it. Kavuma's anger did not shout at first. It arrived softly, disguised as disappointment. A meal too slow, a word said wrongly, a voice raised half a breath too high. When the apologies came, they came kneeling. Gifts followed, promises dressed in tenderness. I believed him because belief was easier than leaving, and because in our land, a woman's endurance is praised more than her safety. The walls learned my quiet. They kept my secrets better than people ever could. Years passed, and time did not heal. It pressed. My youth thinned like cloth worn too often. The village called me a good wife. They did not see how my laughter slowly disappeared. At night, I pressed my ear to the earth and asked my ancestors if womanhood was meant to feel this heavy. They answered with silence and wind. That is when I understood that a cage does not always have bars. Sometimes it is built from expectation, tradition, and fear. One morning, after a night weighed down by rain, clarity came. I looked at Kavuma and saw no strength, only emptiness dressed as authority. Something inside me stood up, small but unbreakable. I did not argue, I did not beg. At dawn, I folded my life into a single cloth and stepped outside. The village watched. A divorced woman walks with judgment on her back and whispers at her heels. They asked why I could not endure. They never asked why I was expected to. With every step away from that house, my spine remembered how to stand. I was afraid, but I kept walking. In my mother's home, sleep returned. Fear loosened its grip. Shame visited, but it did not stay. In its place grew something quieter and stronger. Truth. Adults came to sit near the fire with me, not to gossip, but to listen. I spoke without lowering my voice. I told them this: a marriage that breaks your spirit is not sacred. Silence is not peace. Endurance should never demand your life. The village still speaks my name, but now it carries weight, not pity. I am Nombulelo. I was broken, but I did not disappear. And in a land where silence is tradition, my voice becomes a fire that gives light.